One of the best things about React is that you can bring it into your project with minimal friction. This is great because it lets you test proof of concepts before you actually commit to a full application or redesign an existing one with React. So in this video, we'll take our first steps with React as we bring it in on a web page to build a simple application. Let's begin. Now remember that React is a JavaScript library. If you've ever used a JavaScript library before, you would have typically used a script tag to bring the library in from a CDN source. Here you can see the popular jQuery library being brought in using a script tag from its CDN. In a similar fashion, we can import React using script tags. This is not the best way to work with React, as you'll soon discover, but is good enough to get our first taste of React. But before going forward, make sure you have Node.js installed on your machine. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime that we'll need going forward. So visit nodejs.org from where you can download and install a flavor of Node for your operating system. We recommend version 10 or higher for this course. Let's build a small React application that allows you to type in a sentence which it echoes back after reversing it first. Begin by downloading and extracting an archive from the link given on the screen into a folder of your choice. Now comes the interesting bit. We'll begin importing React into our web page using simple script tags. So, begin by creating a script source tag right before the closing body tag in the index.html file. Here, we'll bring in React 16's development version from this CDN URI. This is the official CDN URI for React scripts. This particular statement brings the core React library on the page. Next, we'll need a library which allows React to talk to the DOM on our page. So, using another script source tag, we'll bring in the React DOM library like so. We'll also need to bring in the Babel compiler using another script tag, as you can see here. Babel is a compiler that lets you use cutting-edge JavaScript features in your project. In this example, however, Babel will let us use JSX, a JavaScript derivative that is used in React apps to define elements that will render on the page. JSX allows developers to write code that somewhat resembles HTML and still allows you to use JavaScript expressions directly. To let Babel compile our React code that includes JSX, we'll create a script tag of the type text/Babel. This is where we'll write our React code. Now remember we imported the React DOM library? Let's use it to render an h1 tag into an element with the ID app. When you save the file, you can see the contents of the div with the ID app replaced with the h1 tag. On a side note, did you notice our web page refreshed automatically? This is the parcel bundler at work. Now, the React DOM.render method will be used to render a React component on the web page. To create our main component, we'll create a JavaScript class called myApp that extends from React.component. Everything that you create in React is a component, and this is one kind of component that you can create. In the constructor, we'll call super, which will allow our class component to use methods and features that the React.component class provides. Now, every component in React must implement a render method. In simple words, this is where we define what the component must display on the web page. In our case, we'll copy down the static UI we have in our div with the ID app and we'll paste it in here. There is a small problem, however. We have two sibling divs at the root here and React doesn't allow this. You can only have one root node in a component's render function. So we'll create these empty tags, which we call fragments, to enclose our two div structures like so. We'll learn more about fragments later in the course. Next, we'll replace our h1 tag in the React DOM.render method here with an instance of the myApp component that we are building. And you can now see our UI on the page. But this time, it is being rendered as a React component. React components can be driven by state, a construct that allows you to declaratively define changes to data that drives the interface. Let's incorporate state in our component. In the constructor, I'll use this.state to create an object where we'll create one property called txt, and for now I'll set this to hello from React. This is what we want to render in the output span on the UI. So to render this state property, I'll replace hello React here with a JavaScript expression using a pair of curly brackets, and I'll reference this.state.txt. This statement now causes the component to render the contents of the txt state property, as you can see here. Now, as the user types in the input field, we want our state to update dynamically. This requires an event listener. To incorporate an event listener on the input field, I'll create an onChange property which will be set to an expression. Inside the expression, I'll create a function that gets the event object. Here, we'll invoke this.setState to set the txt property to e.target.value. The setState method, which our component provides, allows us to update our state properties. Now, if we type in the input box, you can see it echoed in the output span below. Before I go ahead, let me also change all class attributes to class name in camel case. What we have in the render method is JSX and not HTML. JSX is a derivative of JavaScript, and hence properties like class in HTML need to be rewritten as per JSX. Finally, to reverse this text, we can simply append a split, reverse, and join like so to dynamically process the text, as you can see here. I'll also set the default value of the txt property to a blank string. Now, as you type in, the text is echoed in the output span and is reversed on the fly. Congratulations! You've just made your first React app. How does it feel? During the course of this example, you saw glimpses of a class component, the use of declarative state properties, JSX, and event listeners, among other things. We'll go into all these features in extensive detail as we go further into the course. In this example, we brought in the React library using a bunch of simple script tags, and we wrote our code directly in the index.html file. This is, however, not a good practice. You see, modern JavaScript apps are modular in nature and are built using sophisticated and efficient toolchains that make use of module bundlers and compilers. React provides us with an incredible toolkit to bootstrap such a toolchain so that you can build sophisticated and modular React apps quickly. Let's dive into this toolchain in the next video.